Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the first episode of FSI DFS Fantasy NFL Picks. We have done NFL videos before, but I haven't. But there was a lot of requests on the NASCAR videos and on our um, many different places, the Major League Baseball videos and stuff. So I said I'd try it. So done my research and listened to the comments and the feedback that I got from everybody, like what you'd like. So I'm going to kind of run it like baseball. I'm just going to run through every single game, pick out some things for you. Then I'm going to talk about like some of the different plays and different ranges. And then towards the end of the video, I'll give you a couple of lineup starters. But again, we're doing this day before. Inactives can pop up. People can get sick. The COVID's still out there, stuff like that. So make sure that you pay attention to that. So if you want to get the full package, then it's pricing's really cheap. Full season's still on sale. You can go to the description of the video for FSI DFS. Go to the website. You can sign up for all our different packages. So let's get into this. So a couple things here. The first week of NFL, there's a lot of mispricing, obviously, because they want you to get excited about it. They put the first week's pricing out like a month in advance, and you still have like preseason games going on and injuries and people that don't have signed contracts and things like that. So first week is always, you have like those nuggets and stuff. And but it's another week. It's a week that you can like dare to be different, because if you're going to have a running back that due to like injury, like number one and number two get injured in the game before, number three comes in and has a brilliant game, he's going to get be involved in the passing game. He's going to be a bell cow. There's nobody else behind him. They signed some guys out the practice squad. They're not going to see any daylight. They have a decent offensive line, and they're really cheap because DK didn't catch it fast enough to change the pricing. Then that like week 8, 9, 10, you got to lock that person in. Now you can be a little bit different here, and we don't have a lot of data. We know what we knew from last year, but places and faces have changed, and coordinators and different things, and we know team styles and what their identity is, but they're still going to try to find themselves. So we can look back at last year's data. We can look at last year's like target share and defense versus, were they funnel defense? Were they great against the run? Were they great against the pass? How did they play? Who was whose favorite target? Things like that. But we're really going to need a couple weeks of data just to kind of solidify what we think we know. And by week, 3 and 4, we start to figure out like what we truly do know. So there's always that. So I'm going to be focusing on DK pricing. I do play FanDuel also. The one thing with FanDuel is you want it's more a touchdown upside game. So you want to look more for that and not as much like, PPR. So, but DraftKings, you want to find like running backs and people that are going to have receptions, and touchdowns are great also. But so again, I'm going to be focusing on DK pricing as I go through this, and I might call out some things on FanDuel that I like. Okay, so let's get into this. So first game up, we have Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. We have 39.5 total. Atlanta's favored by 3.5. So two rookie quarterbacks here. I don't think I'm really going to touch Carolina other than maybe some things in GPP. Thielen's a little banged up. He's questionable, but he's probable. He should play. If he doesn't, then like I don't even know who Bryce Young's going to throw to. They don't have a good offensive line. I don't really like Miles Sanders as a running back, but I don't really know like how much success he's going to have. This could be an absolute of train wreck of a first game. So I think I'm going to pretty much avoid Carolina unless I'm playing like 150. Then I'll try to stack, what I can from them after I see the news. But I don't think I'm going to go very far with that game. Outside of the game, Falcons, Ryder, I mean, it's okay. He's got a good matchup here, but who's is Drake London going to be the one that emerges? Kyle Pitts, we saw some great games, we saw some bad games from him, so I don't know like which way he's going to go. His price tag isn't bad. Like it started to creep up there as he was started to be good, and then he just kind of like fell off. So I really don't think I'm going to have a ton from this game. Maybe in some of my stacks, I know a lot of people are going to be a Ben Bijan Robertson. He's the running back should have a lot of opportunities there, but he's just so expensive on FanDuel, or not FanDuel, on DK, and I like him on FanDuel definitely more than DraftKings here, but I think he's going to be popular just because of the workload. So, if you are taking one piece of this game, that's fine. If you want to correlate with the Atlanta defense, that for somehow the Falcons through some way get up on maybe the defense scores like 2 or 3 of the touchdowns to give them the lead, and then they run it with Robinson over and over and over again to run the clock out and call it a day. Don't know how that game script's going to go, but it's a pretty low scoring game. Lots of questions, so not super excited about it. Next game up is going to be the Houston Texans and the Baltimore Ravens. A little bit of rain here, about 60% chance. Doesn't look like it's going to be too windy, so I don't think that's going to be a huge factor here. So you have CJ Stroud making his first start and Lamar Jackson returning for the Ravens. So Ravens are a big favorite here. It's probably going to be a blowout, but I think it's going to come down to if you're going to pay up for quarterback, it's going to be Jackson or Hurts. And I like Jackson simply because Houston is terrible rush defense. He can run. He's got some new weapons now to throw to. So, there's Bateman and Flowers. I know at the time of this, Andrews is questionable. I haven't seen that he's officially out yet or anything for that. So we'll just have to watch the news for that. But likely filled in decently. He's only 3K, so there's definitely somebody to look at if Anderson is definitely out tomorrow. Hopefully not, because that definitely makes a great Anderson Andrews a great pairing. But having like some speed and some depth here with like Bateman and Flowers, and I don't think I pay like Beckham. I just come back after 2 major injuries. I just don't think he's got the explosiveness and the reps and stuff. So maybe if we see him do stuff during the season, I don't think we'll do it. But I think Dobbins definitely comes into play here also, where if the Ravens get a big lead here against the Texans and they have a horrible rush defense, then he could be there running out the clock, and the Ravens defense are definitely good to play also. CJ Stroud, I don't know if I'd take, but potentially if I would, I pair him with Nico Collins. He's definitely the clear-cut number 1 here. And the Ravens have been susceptible to the pass in the past. They don't have the defense that they had like years ago where everything was like shut down when Ray Lewis and Ed Reed were there. They still do try to build defensively, but I think the focus is, since Lamar's been there, has been more on offense, and the defense has been formidable, but it hasn't been like elite. But are they getting back there? Potentially, we'll have to see. So, definitely Collins and Schultz, the tight end. I don't think I'm super interested there either. So I don't think I really like a lot of the Texans pieces, but the Baltimore side of it, definitely like pieces there. So next game is a game that we can consider stacking with a 47.5 total with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns, like a 1.5 spread. So it's going to be a close game, hopefully a shootout. And you can definitely like people on both sides here. Joe Burrows is definitely in play for quarterback in the mid-range. Mixon coming back off the injury should be a decent running back in the mid-range. Also, Pierline is gone off the team, so he definitely has the backfield to himself. Trayvon Williams and Chris Evans don't really scare me unless Chris Evans is Captain America. Jamar Chase, Higgins, Boyd, he's got some really good receivers here. You can definitely double stack with him. Irv Smith, I'm not sure. There's so many other options here. I want to wait and see how much of a target share he gets. Who was it? Like last year was Hunter Hurst was in his tight end and had some really big games. So there's the potential's there, but I want to kind of wait and see on that. So Burrow, Mixon, Chase, Higgins, Boyd, I think they're all in play. Cleveland, Deshaun Watson, not really interested in. I'd rather stack Burrows, but Chubb, I think, definitely is in play here with owning this backfield on his own. I think Ford or like Pierce Strong are really going to take up too much. And then having Amari Cooper and People Jones and Elijah Moore, he's got some decent receivers here. We'll have to see what the target share is for those. But Njoku, the tight end, is definitely someone that we've seen. And just watching him when he came back last year after like the suspension and everything, he just really didn't put up a lot of points for fantasy purposes. So I think it's a great game to take Bengals and then run it back with like a Cooper or a Njoku or a Chubb or something like that. On the other side, hopefully it stays close and it's a good competitive game. Next up, we have Jacksonville Jaguars and Indianapolis Colts. And it seems like this could be like the fight for the bottom of the division. We'll have to see. A couple of years ago, but like now, Jacksonville's actually risen up, and Indianapolis is definitely in a rebuilding time. So Lawrence is definitely in play in the cheap range, 6.5. That's a good value there. I don't know if I trust the running backs with NTN and Bigsby. I think the Colts are decent against the run, but you have Calvin Ridley returning from his gambling suspension and injuries and stuff. He was like really solid on the Falcons, and now he's there. Kirk, Zay Jones. So definitely some weapons here for Trevor Lawrence. Ingram, the tight end. I don't mind him either in the mid range. So definitely like the Jaguar side of it to build your lineup there if you want to stack. And on the Colts side, I think I just take Richardson on own. I think he's going to be the running game. I know we'll have to see if Moss is in there, but the backfield between Deion Jackson, I think is going to be probably a chalk play on DraftKings at 4-1 if he does get the start. But I don't know how successful they're going to be or how well they're going to use him. Jacksonville has been decent against running backs. And then even like with wide receivers, like Pittman's good. Like we saw him have some good games. Pierce, like Josh Downs, there's upside here. But we just don't know this like rookie quarterback and everything. And I kind of imagine it like a Joe Fields game with like Chicago, like when he was a rookie, where he'd throw to some guys, but most of the time his instinct would be just to tuck the ball and run and tuck the ball and run and tuck the ball and run. So definitely something to look at. So really like Richardson, think he's going to be athletic and think he's going to be like a Lamar Jackson light eventually, kind of make like Joe Fields a running quarterback. But, I don't think I really want to pair a ton of weapons with him. But on the other side too, if I know I didn't really like Etienne, but I think, if you want to pair Etienne up with the Jacksonville defense against this rookie quarterback, if he does anything like Fields does, he might take a lot of sacks also, like Fields. So definitely Jacksonville defense would be in play. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Minnesota Vikings. Baker Mayfield here and Kirk Cousins. 46 total here. So this is another game that is going to be looks like it's going to be a 5-point spread. So I think the Vikings have it here. So Tampa Bay side of it, Baker Mayfield, if you want to stack it, that's fine. But we just don't know like who he's going to have chemistry with here wide receiver wise. He's got some really good ones in Evans and Godwin, but and Otten, the tight end, it did really well when there wasn't like 30 other tight ends in the mix here. So, and we know in like Cleveland, he locked on to tight ends quite a bit. So there's definitely some pairings you can go here. I don't think I really game stack this one, but I really do like Minnesota on the other side. Jefferson's probably going to be one of, if you're paying up for wide receiver between him and Chase, I think they're going to have really high ownership for people paying up. Hawkinson, the tight end, is probably going to be their wide receiver too now that Thielen's left the team and moved on. KJ Osborne, when Thielen was hurt, looked decent. So definitely some. And Addison, I think, is somebody to look at. Jordan Addison at 5-1 here. I think I'd take him over Osborne if you want to do a game stack with Cousins and Jefferson, Addison. If you're going triple, I'd probably just go Cousins, Jefferson, and Hawkinson. But if you want to throw Addison in there as a as a pivot off of like Hawkinson, or if you're doing if you want to triple stack it with like 3 wide receivers, then that might be something to consider there. Madison, I don't know. He should have. I don't think Ty Chandler or Gaskin are really going to take away much from him. So he should be the bell cow and everything. But there have been times last year when Cook was out and he had like a great opportunity and he didn't really rise to the occasion. So, I'd really like to see him do it more this year. I don't think he's like, it's not a play that I absolutely hate. I think he's like works out well in the mid range here for a play, but it's not somebody that I'm like super stoked with playing. Next up, we have the Tennessee Titans and the New Orleans Saints. This one looks like it's got a pretty low total too. The line's a lot closer than I thought it would be. Thought New Orleans would be getting more, but we'll have to see on that. It's only 3 right now. So game total is not great here, compared to some of these other ones that are like 47, 50, we've got some 45s out there too. So one of the lower ones. Tennessee, they have Hopkins now to pair with Tannehill. I have to see like if he's still got in the tank and what his chemistry is here. Henry, they run, but it just seems like he's got a lot of miles on him recently. We've seen some good games from him, but there were fewer last year than we see it previously. He wasn't just like that super dominant running back. Now it's early in the season, so he hasn't had as many hits or played as many games. So this might be the time to, if you want to pay up to consider Henry, because he's fresher and should be good. All the Saints were decent against the run defensively. The Saints are kind of an underrated defense, I think. So, and actually kind of like the Saints defense in the middle range. And Tannehill's Tannehill. He's like a game manager. He's not someone that's probably going to go out there and throw for like 400 yards. I doubt it. So again, this Tennessee is kind of an enigma. It doesn't really have a high total. So I want to kind of see what they do. On the New Orleans side, Derek Carr, hopefully it's coming back and will have a healthy year, and he's got some decent weapons here. But remember, Kamara is suspended, so Jamal Williams is probably going to be one of the chalkiest running backs on the slate, probably one of the most popular ones here at 5-1. He should have all the carries and everything. However, I'll get to that in a second. In the passing game, like Michael Thomas has always been like the number 1 wide receiver there, but he's kind of lost this step, and the reason Michael Thomas was great because he was just kind of like a volume guy, but I don't think like he'll be getting that anymore. I think Olave is the one that you really want to look at, because I think he can really stretch the field, runs good routes, and I definitely think that he'll be one that Carr looks at the most. So I think both are in play, but I really like Olave. I think he's a great cash game play if you can get him in your lineup. 6.5 isn't bad. But in GPPs, if you want to fade, Olave is probably going to have high ownership. Then Thomas is definitely one to look at here. Williams will definitely be chalky in the running back, and Juwan Johnson is definitely a play in the tight end in the cheap range here. He's only 3.9, but the one guy that I'm going to play in GPP lineups is Taysom Hill. They listed Taysom Hill as like their second string quarterback, so he's not listed as a tight end with the NFL. And the thought is that he might come in and do some plays. He might be their goal line back. Like, he's a really talented, athletic guy. I know he's a little bit banged up, but it looks like he's good to go. And I think Jimmy Graham's still on the team here. I don't know if he's going to be active or not, if they're third string tight end, but I really like Taysom Hill in GPPs. I'm going to be playing him in Lions at 3.7. He's probably my sleeper play of the week. I just reading some of the stuff that, and New Orleans hasn't come out and said that they're going to do anything like this or run any special plays for him, but we've seen it through the history, and without having Kamara there and just having Jamal Williams as their only running back. I think this is a great option to get him involved in the offense. So at his price at 3.7, if he gets me one touchdown on some weird play, then I'll take it definitely. Next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. 41.5 total. San Francisco favored by 2.5. Brock Purdy comes back. Christian McCaffrey should be healthy and good to go. You have Elijah Mitchell in the backfield with him. Deebo Samuel should be healthy. Ayaku continues to grow. Kittle's been banged up also. San Francisco's got a lot of potential on offense. And San Francisco's a great GPP team here. But I don't know if I want to play it for McCaffrey because I want to see, how healthy he is and what his role is going to be this year in the offense. And again, I like the pieces, but I kind of in week one want to let other people play them. If they beat me, they beat me. But I just really, at tight end, there's so many other cheaper ones. And if Andrews is in, I'd rather have him or Hawkinson or Higbee over Kittle. For the wide receivers, like, is Samuel 100% healed? Is Ayak? Is he, how many targets is he going to get? Like, how's Brock Purdy healed up from, or are they just going to run a lot with McCaffrey? There's too many questions here. So I think I'm just going to kind of skip San Francisco. And Pittsburgh's had a decent defense throughout the years also. So that's something. The Pittsburgh side of it, Pickett and I interested in as a quarterback other than GPP. We don't know who the featured wide receiver is going to be. We've seen Deontay Johnson absolutely crush games, but then, not show up. Pickens is there. Allen Robinson comes over from the Bears. I think that's the last place he was. I know he was on the Bears at one point. So you've got some options here. And then Freiermuth, the tight end, like has been a solid option also. So again, I kind of want to see both these teams before I start playing any of the plays in cash. Besides, like I said, Freiermuth, I think you could look at in the medium range for tight end, and there's some decent pieces here. And if I'm doing GPP, then that's fine. I definitely stack some of them. Pieces here and there and do some correlation, but there's nothing that I really feel like I really want to lock onto in this game. And I think San Francisco's defense, if you're paying up, is probably one to look at against Pickett being a younger and experienced quarterback as they try to find their way on that. Arizona Cardinals and Washington Commanders. This one has a really low total, 38.5. Arizona could be historically bad this year. They could be the first team to lose 17 games. Kyler Murray that says he will play this year, but Dobbs is going to get the start. Sam Howell is going to start for the Commanders, and he's going to be a really chalky quarterback here. Just watch the weather on this one. It's like a 62 to 70% chance of rain. They'll still play the game probably, and the wind doesn't look like it's to be a factor, but the ball's wet. They might not be able to throw it as much. So there's really, and Marquise Brown on the Cardinals is questionable. So Zach Ertz is questionable. So the Cardinals, you have James Conner, definitely going to be in play, and he might be the only offense. Dobbs, I just don't know what to do with him week one with if Brown's out, then Rondell Moore, or whoever is going to look like they're going to start would be really good cheap options for punts. But this, you have good cheap guys in the 3K range that what their role is, and much better quarterback situation. Washington defense has been pretty good too. So I don't really know if I want to trust the Cardinals. Again, I think they're going to purposely try to be historically bad. They're going to try to lose games to try to get a really good draft pick to get Kyler Murray back and healthy and really start to rebuild a championship team, hopefully here. On the other side, Howell, I think, is going to be a very chalky just because the Arizona defense is not good. Ryan Robinson is definitely somebody to look at in the backfield. And I love pairing him with the Washington defense because I think Washington gets out and gets the lead, and then they just run him and just run the clock out. So definitely should get some touches. And There's Gibson in the backfield too, but I think that Robinson definitely should get most of the work here. McLaurin, it was questionable. Looks like he'll be in there if he's not. But Dotson, I really liked him. He was just like amazing last year. Curtis Samuel's still there also. So there's definitely some weapons here to double or triple stack with Howell. And then Logan Thomas, the tight end, had some decent games also. So, there's another person to put in your stacks for Washington, but I wouldn't game stack this. And again, if you're trying to run it back with Arizona, I don't really know who you would do it with besides like maybe Connor. So, but I do like the pairing of the Washington defense and Brian Robinson a lot. Green Bay Packers and Chicago Bears. There's 41.5 total here, 1.5 spreads. So Packers post Aaron Rodgers. They played super slow last year. They were like had one of the least plays per game in the NFL. I think it was they and like Miami were pretty slow. So we'll have to see if like Love there and if they change things up there, if they're going to play any faster this year. And Chicago Bears, like Fields is starting to come in his own. They brought in DJ Moore from Carolina, so he's got some weapons there. So it should be interesting. So on the Chicago side of it, Jordan Love, if you want to take a shot at the rookie, that's fine. The Bears defense is not the 85 Bears defense. So definitely some opportunity there, but we have to see if Dobbs is going to be healthy enough to play. If not, then you have to pick which wide receiver in the 3K range here on the team. Reed, Heath, Toure, and Wicks, they are all 3K. So I think Jaden Reed would be probably the one to look at, but it might be Luke Musgrave all day long. And I really like Luke Musgrave as a cheap tight end. He's my favorite cheap tight end, actually. And I find with him in cash games at 2.9K, definitely someone to look at. And Aaron Jones should have a healthy workload here at 6.3. So definitely some Packard pieces due to injuries that definitely potentially could take advantage of. And the Chicago Bears, you have Joe Fields, and definitely like Joe Fields on his own, but I definitely like pairing with Moore. If you want to throw Moody in there, it's fine. I don't know about Chase Claypool. He just doesn't as I would really want to see him start to put together and play like he did in Pittsburgh before I start playing him in DFS. And then come at the tight end is okay, but I really want to make sure that Justin Fields is actually throwing the ball more and becoming more of a pocket passer like the rumor is, and he's not going to panic and run first. But Herbert should be a solid running back there. He's clearly number one. He's got Deontay Foreman behind him, who was a good fill-in back and might come in to give him a breather. But I think Herbert should get at least 75% of the snaps and be the bell cow. So definitely in this close game, definitely a game, probably my third favorite game stack of the day. The Raiders and the Broncos looks like it's pouring this one, like maybe up to like 80% chance of rain. So I do have it as my fourth favorite stack of the week. Jimmy Garoppolo coming from San Francisco to take over for Derek Carr and the Raiders. And we have Russell Wilson, hopefully with Sean Payton as coach there. Hopefully he can put this offense back on track. Starting with the Raiders here, Josh Jacobs, a contract dispute a lot. So I don't know. I really trust him the first couple of weeks until I see what his role is and everything. But I think Garoppolo is a serviceable quarterback if you want to stack in a GPP with Adams or Jacoby Myers coming over from New England. Hunter Renfrow is just kind of vanilla, not super excited there. And then Austin Hooper at tight end. Definitely some things to go with there. But I think, if I'm doing like a game stack here, liking this, and the weather's going to be okay, and it doesn't look like the rain's going to affect like throwing the ball too much, like in a downpour, it's kind of hard. The ball gets slippery and everything. So Javonte Williams and Pierline. So they have a couple backs here. So I have to see like who's has what role in there, but Russell Wilson should do better than last year. Judy's questionable. If he's out, I think Sutton and Mims will be chalk receivers. Sutton at 5.2 and Mims at 3K minimum. A ton of potential with Mims. Love the play, especially if Judy's out. If not, I still like him as 3K wide receiver there. And then if you look at the starting lineup, you're not going to see like usually Dulch the tight ends start because he's more pass receiver and they start like a blocking one for the running game. So if don't freak out if you see that he's not starting, but he's definitely in play here. Sean Payton did some really good things in New Orleans with his tight ends. So, he pretty much helped make Jimmy Graham. So we'll see, what happens there, but he's definitely in play at 4K for your tight end or maybe in your flex spot. Game of the week and probably here with the highest total is going to be the Miami Dolphins and the Chargers, a 50.5 total, highest one on the board here, and it's a 3-point spread with the Chargers favored. So lots of offense here. Tua hopefully is back and healthy and ready to go. Definitely compare him with Tyreek Hill, Waddle, or both. Wouldn't take the tight ends. He's got Croft and Smythe, but just really didn't use the tight ends that much. It was usually more the volume going to Hill and Waddle. And Mozart, I think, is a great running back to take, especially on FanDuel where it's like more of a touchdown thing. I don't know if he's going to catch a ton of passes, but definitely, this is hopefully a high explosive offense. They're very exciting off the bat last year, and hopefully we get that again this year in a game that should be a shootout. On the other side, Justin Herbert, solid quarterback. If you don't want to pay up for Jackson, Hurts, or Fields, and I think he's a pivot off Burrow in the mid range at 6'9". Eckler, if you're gonna pay up for running back, he's my favorite play. I like him better than Run DMC and Chubb. Definitely, if you can get to him, that's fine. But I think most people will take the value at running back and try to pay up at wide receiver, quarterback, and some other places, just because you have that value at running back. You might not have it later in the season to be able to get some of the wide receivers in. Keenan Allen is definitely a great pairing with Herbert. Mike Williams also a great savings there. He's only 5.7, and then Everett the tight end definitely in play also. So great game stack here. Just take Herbert at the quarterback. Allen, Williams, run it back with Hill or Waddle on the other side. I hope it shoots out, and that could be it. I think it's going to be very popular, and these guys are going to be pretty highly owned. New England Patriots host the Philadelphia Eagles here. So, and their Eagles are a 3.5 point favorite. So obviously, Jalen Hurts is in play here. You can play him alone, or you can play him with AJ Brown or Devonta Smith or Dallas Goedert or any of the combination of those three or all three, however you want to do it. It works. I'd avoid the running backs. There's like 50 of them, it seems, in Philadelphia between Swift, Gainwell, Penny, and Scott. All of them could play at any time in any role, and you really just don't know. So I'm just going to avoid it until we kind of see like what the pattern is there. So, but really definitely going to look on the Eagles side of this. On the Patriots side of it, Stevenson is a decent running back. I'm not really scared of Ezekiel. He might vulture some goal line carries or so, but Stevenson's actually sick. So we'll have to see if he plays. If he doesn't and Zeke's there at like 5'2", then that becomes really interesting. Mac Jones is a quarterback I'm not super enthralled with at 5'1". I mean, if you're playing GPPs, if you want to throw them out there, like who knows? I mean, Belichick can come up with some crazy things. Hunter Henry, a tight end, and Gesicki, he's got two really good ones there. So which one is he going to go to? So hopefully we'll be able to kind of get a read on that, but it's Belichick, so anything can happen. Smith-Schuster's the lead wide receiver there. Parker's banged up. I don't know if he'll play, so Kendrick Bourne might be the other guy that gets some snaps here and might get like 8 DK points at 3-3, so that's not bad either. So, but again, really don't like, more like the Eagles side of it. Don't think it's really a game that I would stack that much, but if I was running it back, I might run it back with like Stevenson or Schuster, but we'll just have to see if Stevenson's even in. Los Angeles Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. We all were hoping it wouldn't happen, but we all probably saw it coming. Cooper Kupp is on the IL, so he will be out for the first 4 weeks for the Rams. So Matt Stafford is there, and I read an article, and I don't know if it was like if they're just making fun of him or not, but it said he didn't even know like his receivers' names, but and maybe they're just doing sarcastic. But Van Jefferson definitely is the man there too, and then I mean Atwell is decent. Puka Nakura. I'm really familiar with some of the other one. I mean, Demarcus Robinson, he played on the Chiefs, but he's down the depth chart there. So pretty much it's going to be Higbee and Jefferson. So definitely some opportunities there, but I really think Seattle is a great play for defense. Against this team, because I don't know. I think the Rams are going to struggle. Cam Akers, like, I can't play him. He burned me so much last year. He's on my never again list. So I mean, if he comes out and establishes himself in the first couple of weeks and looks like somebody that we can play in DFS again, then I'll consider it. But I just can't at this point. I'm sorry with that one. Seahawks on the other side. Geno Smith is a serviceable quarterback that has had some decent games. He's got some really good receivers, obviously, in Metcalf and Lockett. So, I mean, there's a great pairing there with him. Running backs, I don't know. Kenneth Walker III is definitely somebody I consider, but the Zach Charbonnet is a really highly touted rookie, and I think he can really start to eat into Walker's time and can become a committee. So I kind of want to see where that plays out before I play Walker. But I don't mind taking Walker, or if you want to take a shot in GPP at Charbonnet and play it with the Seattle defense, if they do get ahead and they're running the ball to run out the clock, then I'm fine with that. Tight end wise, like, they have Noah Fant, but they also have Disley, who's been used quite a bit. So I think I just focus, if I'm taking a game stack here, Geno Smith, Metcalf, and Lockett, throw in Walker potentially, and I do like the Seattle defense also. And that is all the games. So let's just kind of look at the going to move my screen over. Hopefully it doesn't mess everything up. Might not move because it's locked device. All right. Anyways, so I said for QBs, like, Lamar Jackson is my favorite here. They've got, like I said, from Georgia, the college, they took their offensive coordinator. Hopefully the pace goes up. He's got some better weapons, and he should be healthy and ready to go here. If you don't want Jackson, then Hurts is definitely in play. Also got some great weapons, great matchup too. So those two are definitely in play here. Fields against the Packers, like him, also supposed to become more of a pocket passer. Is DJ Moore now is another option out there, and he looked good with him in preseason, so hopefully that carries over. The medium range, Herbert, definitely great game total there. Great matchups, so definitely someone that could do well. Burrow is always a threat with all the weapons he has, and Tua, if he's healthy, has some run upside and definitely has some great weapons too. In the cheap range, Lawrence, he's got some better weapons now too. Richardson, the rookie running back, and I think Howell's going to be very chalky with his price in Washington with a great matchup there. I'm not really super interested with Garofalo until I see, what his relationship is on the Raiders. And Stroud and Dobbs are rookie quarterbacks in matchups against decent defenses, and I don't know how they're going to play out, so I'm not going to look at them. If I'm paying up for running back, I like Eckler. Christian McCaffrey, I'm apprehensive with. I want to see how San Francisco offense works before I start paying that much for him. And Chubb, I think, is definitely in play also on the Cleveland side of the Cincinnati matchup. Stevenson, you have to watch and make sure he's not sick. So if he's in and he looks like he's good to go, and if just like a mild stomach flu or something, but if he's like still sick and under the weather and questionable and he's a game time decision, then I don't know. I might not play him, especially if he's not feeling well. And I think that game had rain in it too. Yeah. So it's just miserable conditions. I don't know how well he's going to perform. Madison should have the backfield to himself. But again, he hasn't risen to the occasion. I think I kind of might switch Mixon and Madison. I think I might move Mixon up to the top there in the medium range here, just because Madison needs to prove himself and Stevenson is sick. The cheap one, Jamal Williams, is definitely for New Orleans is going to be the one that people are going to look at. Deion Jackson, if Moss is out, is another one for Indianapolis. But again, I think their quarterback's going to do most of the running there. And Mostert should be the bell cow for Miami. I'm fading Akers. I'm fading Dobbin just because, but I think he's okay if you're stacking that game, playing him with the Ravens defense, that's fine. I think it's the pricing on him, and especially B-Rob from Arizona or Atlanta. I just think he's too expensive on DK. I just haven't really seen enough for him, and there's like a lot of cheap options and stuff. So not probably not going to play him there, but FanDuel definitely have some interest. Wide receiver, Hill, Jefferson, Waddle, and it should be Hill and Chase there. Chase should be right here with Hill um, on the high side. I think you pick between one of the two of them in cash. So I'll put Hill slash Chase. In the medium range, Higgins from Cincinnati, Olave, I like him on New Orleans, a great matchup there. And then Metcalf, I think I prefer him over Lockett, but I think either one's in play there. A cheap one, Sutton and Mims on Denver, especially if Judy's out, are in a great matchup, and Dotson are another one to look at. Fade, I'm not going with Beckham. Evans, like the Tampa Bay situation. Keenan Godwin, I just with Baker Mayfield, I'm just not sold yet. And then Adams, I just don't know how he's going to work with Garofalo yet. So, and then injured, we know Cooper Kupp's off. McLaren looks like he's going to play for the Redskins. If he doesn't, then Dotson's definitely a even better play. And then Marquise Brown for Arizona. They might not have any wide receivers, and they might not care. Andrews, have to keep a watch for him, see if he's going to play. If not, his backups definitely play, and pretty cheap in likely. Hawkinson's probably going to be Minnesota's second wide receiver, so the tight end position, and Higbee the same situation there. So both of them are smash plays. Freiermuth for Pickett should be decent. Ingram and Njoku are other solid plays there, and cheap ones Musgrave, especially if Dubes is out on Green Bay for Jordan Love. He's really locked into him in the preseason, and I think that's a great target there. Johnson for New Orleans is a great matchup for patching, and I like Taysom Hill for New Orleans, the tight end listed, who's really like a quarterback, running back, and then Dulcich or Dulcich for Denver, as we've really seen Sean Payton do some really good things with tight ends there. Fading Smith, Okonkwo, and Komet. And then I said injury watch Andrews. Kittle's, I believe, is fine. He's just had a lot of little nicks here and there. So, and then Ertz for Arizona. Defense, definitely Baltimore, great matchup. San Francisco and Philadelphia, especially if Stevens is out, that makes them really good. You can always pair them with a running back if you think it's going to be a blowout, and then they're just going to run out the game there, and they'll have a bunch of touches, and the yards will just continue to add up. Medium range, New Orleans, Seattle, and Atlanta are like, and then cheap range, Washington, Green Bay, and Miami. Even though Miami is against San Diego, it's a high total there. They still can do enough to try to make value. And I'm fading Las Vegas, Tennessee, and New England. My favorite game steps are the Dolphins, San Diego with the highest total, Cincinnati and Cleveland, Green Bay and Chicago, Las Vegas and Denver, and then the Rams and Seattle, even though the Rams are kind of decimated, I think, with like Seattle, and then running it back with like Higbee there, it definitely can work for you. So let's look at the builds and get you on your way for your day. First up, DK. I'm taking Lamar Jackson and give me Gibson. I know that a lot of people are going to go with like Jamal Williams or Deion Jackson there, and you can put them as the RB2 if you want to pay up also and take Eckler. I'm fine with that. Also, one of the mid-range guys too, but that's Gibson. I'm locking in with the Washington defense. That's where I want to go in cash. So give me Chase, give me Olave. You can also go Hill there if you want to. Andrews or Higbee. If you're paying up for running back, you probably go Higbee, and then flex. There's a lot of options like Sutton, Mims, Musgrove. Probably take depending on how much money I have, I'll probably take a cheap wide receiver or running back. There's lots of different ways to go there. FanDuel, same thing pretty much. Give me Jackson, but you can Robinson for a running back. Chaser Hill, take your pick there. Sutton, Gibson. Why did I put Gibson in there? I meant Robinson for DK. Sorry about that. Had some major storms in my area, and my internet was going off and on, so it's just been really distracting day power flickering on and off. So hopefully you're not going through that in your area. Okay, so there we go. Robinson for the B Rob. So Chase and Hill, Sutton, Higbee and Andrews, tight end, same thing in the Washington defense. For GPP, I'm going to take advantage of the highest game. I know some of these guys will be a little bit chalky, but I'm going to go a little bit different than some other of my fill-ins. So give me Herbert, Eckler, Allen, Hill, Waddle. You take Hill and Waddle, or you can take and throw in another Miami cheap wide receiver, San Diego. I think Williams fits in there really nicely. And then Hill or Musgrave as my tight end, and they're going to take Green Bay on defense. And, whatever fits for the running back. Same thing for, I'm going to take Herbert, Eckler, Allen, Hill, Waddle, Hill for New Orleans and Green Bay. I'm going to take some not so chalky players to make it more of a GPP. I do know that this could definitely be a cash build with the total and everything. And then the other GPP that I considered was pretty much taking some pieces of take Fields and pair him up with Moore, run it back with Jones and maybe Musgrave on the other side of the game, and they are so cheap that it was able to get me some really nice stud one-off plays in the rest of my lineup. So that's what I got for you. Again, first video, trying to feel my way through it. So please give me some feedback on what you liked, what you didn't like. And, for next week, we'll try to improve this. So within a couple of weeks of the season, if we continue to get some views here, I'll continue to make them. So thank you for helping with this experiment. If you have any questions, put them in the chat below. Hit me up at MegaRoar31 on Twitter/X. If you want more information on FSIDFS, like I said, in the descriptions in the video. And if you think these videos help you, already help by watching this far, but you can help us a little bit more by liking, subscribing to the channel, and sharing with your friends. So appreciate you watching. Good luck in your contest. Check out my NASCAR video. I'm going to film that in a few minutes here, so that should be up on the channel. And hopefully it's a good day for football. Excited to have NFL back. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time.